Welcome to my case study on New York City and its relevance to an adaptive Sydney. First of all, I would like to introduce you to the issue at hand. How can our communities and critical infrastructure be better protected from extreme heat and localized flooding from storms? New York City is located in the state of New York in the northeastern part of the United States of America. New York City has a population of 8.5 million people on just under 800 square kilometers of land. I chose New York City as it presents a vulnerability to numerous climatic events due to its geographical location and urban density. New York City also shares similarities to Sydney, which we explored throughout this video. Similar to the rest of the world, research states that New York City temperature has rapidly increased over the past decades, and by the year 2100, New York's temperature is expected to increase between 2 and 4 degrees Celsius. This causes extensive heat waves, longer summers, and additional power required for cooling. This heat is also intensified in urban areas such as New York City through a process known as an urban heat island, which is caused by a lack of vegetation and dense built environment which absorbs heat during the day, often raising surface air temperature between 2 and 4 degrees Celsius. New York City is also at risk of flooding. This is caused by rising sea levels, high volume rainfall, and storm surges. New York's rising sea level rate per decade is almost double that of the global average, equating to almost 75 centimeters rise in sea levels by the year 2050, causing problems such as erosion, coastal flooding, and contamination of freshwater supplies. New York City is also experiencing an increase in precipitation as climates continue to change. Studies suggest that this may increase by up to 10% by the year 2080. Once-in-a-lifetime storms, such as Hurricane Irene and Sandy, both collectively causing over $19 billion worth of damage and 53 deaths, are becoming more and more frequent. The impacts of climate change on New York City and its affecting infrastructure and communities. New York City has therefore instigated numerous strategies and initiatives aimed at better protecting its communities and infrastructure. This is achieved through city planning and other projects. City planning, such as climate smart communities, encourages education through climate change. Infrastructure projects, such as the East Side Coastal Resiliency Project, also known as the Dry Line, provides a protective ribbon around vulnerable coastal areas across southern Manhattan, also in Brooklyn. These projects include the construction of stormwater management structures and flood barriers, also creating useful public spaces. Other mitigation strategies include flood walls, levees, which could also protect communities and infrastructure. New York City are also implementing strategies to reduce the effects of extreme heat. These include increasing urban forestry, which provides shade, using high albedo surfaces, which reduces heat radiation. An example includes using light-colored asphalt for roads and footpaths. The implementation of green roofs on buildings cools the surrounding area through evapotranspiration and shading. Sydney, located in the state of New South Wales on the east coast of Australia, has a population of 4.9 million people spread across 12,000 square kilometres of land. New York City and Sydney share many similarities in relation to climate change and its desire to build resilience. Much of Sydney's population lie on the coast and in urban areas, making it vulnerable to extreme heat and localised flooding. Particular resilience strategies used by New York City can also be applied to Sydney. Such strategies to reduce the effects of heat include the construction of green roofs and the use of high albedo surfaces in Sydney's heavily urbanised areas to reduce surface air temperature. Here's an example of this being used in a Sydney suburb. Similarly to New York City, Sydney has experienced numerous floods in its history, causing devastating effects across its communities. Sydney's coastline and low-lying areas are at great risk of flooding. This is an example showing Sydney Airport, which is at risk of flooding due to rising sea levels. Particular flood mitigation strategies, such as flood walls or stormwater management structures similar to the Dry Line proposed for New York City, could be useful in areas such as Sydney Harbour or Botany Bay to better protect our critical infrastructure. The information shared today provides an insight of how a global city such as New York City is facing and dealing with extreme heat and flooding similar to that of Sydney. I hope you enjoyed it and found this video useful. Thank you.